just a legendary Pokemon living in the Pokemon world. She took the name Reshiram. Just a Pokephile. Played Pokemon all his life. He took an attraction to Reshiram. A dragon with turbo blaze. A human less than half as tall. With a screen they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and on. Computers, pixels. Although it's just imagery, but it is still very attractive. Fire, dragon. The vast white attractiveness showing somewhere on the screen. Working hard to love his wife, even though it isn't real.
I think that should be good enough. Yeah, welcome. Today's stream is a topic stream, right? About the Nintendo Switch. I'm just gonna be talking a little bit about it. This is very impromptu. I thought about, what should I do on Wednesday, and then I thought about, the Nintendo Switch 2 came out. How about I talk about the Nintendo Switch? Because, you have to be on topic sometimes. You can't always do your own thing, as they say. So I have like a few things to look at. One is like the release. One is talking a little bit about 2017. I have not too much, per topic. My top 5, I initially want to do a top 10, but after looking at it, I didn't even play that many games. I didn't finish that many games. I own like about twice as much, how should I say? Half of the games I own, I played through. Plus minus, a little bit more. But it's not enough to get really a top 10 going that is fully fair, because is it really your top 10 if it's only 10 titles, right? That's a bit my philosophy. Can you really say you have a good judgment about what's a top something if you have just no vision of, because when your horizon is barely existing? Then I will talk a little bit about games I still want to play. I still want to buy and play, or just play because I already own them on the Switch. That is right. Because if we talk about all the games, we can sit here until next Friday easily, and next Wednesday even. Let's be honest here, because there's so many games, so little time. What will I do? Well, I'm just gonna stop working then, right? Let's hope this YouTube thing works out. Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. If I could spend more time gaming and developing for myself. Even though currently at work that's like one thing, it's a bit of a chore, but it's also the kind of thing that's fun for me. I just like coding. I just never find the time or motivation, especially after work, to sit down and really do it. That's something I want to change, but that's not the stream about. This is about. And then we have Switch 2 and the future. There are a few things I jolted down per category, and here I have a few I want to talk about. It shouldn't be the longest stream. Let me say it like that. But to start off, let's do it like this. I think that should work out perfectly. To start off, put me on screen. Oh, there are 2 Yakus. Holy shit, that's insane. Insanity ensues. Screen capture is what I need right now. So I thought, let's kind of start here. Let's start here. I should move that below me. There we go. That's alright like this. I think it's good from the volume. It should be. It looks relatively quiet. I think a lot of people remember this. This was like our first real look at the Switch. And I remember when this announcement dropped, I was like, oh yeah, cool. And I didn't necessarily know what to expect at the time. But when we saw this, and the guy did that, I thought like, yeah, Nintendo knows what they're doing, right? You have to give it to Nintendo. They thought about this and were like, yeah, they made it work. I've seen previous attempt of something similar. I will talk about that as well. Not necessarily one that I've seen, but something that was a bit of a thorn in the eye of Nintendo. But and of course it was also like, hey, there are not too many children in the trailer and whatnot, which is also like a big thing for Nintendo. They usually market towards children, and with this one was like, hey, this is the reveal, and we show adults. Of course today the meme is when you see adults like this, you think of other people. Let's be honest here. Like I've heard the sentiment of some people, when I see you play the Switch in public, as a grown man, I'm gonna beat you up, right? That's a bit the sentiment you see. Of course, we saw Skyrim, which I thought was hilarious at the time. Like Todd did it again, more Skyrim, hell yeah. Because why not? They were starting in the car. I don't know if that existed to buy. If that was like an actual thing you could buy, like a car attachment. Was that a thing? Or was it just for the trailer? But overall, it was like a very good trailer to show to people, right? Of course, we saw like the new 3D Mario game. That's also something people wanted for the longest time, right? Like people were really starved from the Wii U because they gave us nothing. They gave nothing to the people. Which is why the Switch also kind of like... It's a Wii U with detachable controllers. If you have a Wii U tablet, you immediately know, oh yeah, that's where they get it from. They're like, how can we take this and make it better? Because Nintendo always was like... And here they like embraced esport, which I know they kinda don't with like older titles, but that's a Nintendo thing. They just hate their old games. They hate their legacy, basically. I know they're really not into the whole Smash thing. But here with Splatoon, they were like, oh yeah, that's gonna be an esport. I don't think Splatoon is really on the map anymore. I know a lot of people like it, but I've never really heard anything about it. You don't hear about the $2 million, or $5 million, $10 million Splatoon tournament, like with like Dota or whatnot. It's like interesting how they almost embraced the current state of everything, right? Rather than going for like, oh yeah, here are some children, and they're playing their Mario, their Bing Bing Wahoos, and blah blah blah, right? It was an interesting thing how they embraced another culture almost, I would say. But of course, when you think of, as I just said, when you think of Nintendo, especially after the Switch, you think of the soy boy. The quintessential soy boy is the adult man-child, mouth agape, sitting in the corner playing his Nintendo Switch while his wife gets fucked by a bull. Right? My wife's boyfriend bought me a Nintendo Switch for Christmas after I chopped my balls off. Yeah, I mean that was like the biggest meme I think that came out of the Nintendo area. It's a funny one, honestly. I have to say it's probably one of the better ones. Of course, the Soy Boy was a thing before that, you know, but with Nintendo, you really, really got a lot of people not not giving a shit, you know, just letting their inner man-child completely out of the window. Now, when I bought the Nintendo Switch, or when it was announced, when I bought it, I pre-ordered it basically. I had also no problem with like scalpers. That was like, I feel like that was the biggest thing with scalpers was during the whole COVID stuff. I feel like people talk about it a bit too much right now, or like we're like, oh yeah, it happened then, and then I see people being like, oh man, I hope scalpers didn't get the Nintendo Switch 2 just as much as they get the Nintendo Switch 1. Where I lived, you could get the Nintendo Switch 1 for almost no money. Yeah. With almost no problem, even after launch. So I feel like it really only picked up during the COVID era. But yeah, I was excited, right? I think I saw like a spike and it immediately dropped after I put up these pictures, which is funny. It's probably insulted somebody. But I think, right? It's alright to be excited about the Nintendo Switch. It's alright, right? It's often seen as bad by people in a way. But I don't necessarily think that it is, right? You can be excited about something without looking like this, though. Right, that's the thing I want to say. You can be excited, but you don't necessarily need to be the like quintessential soy boy. You know, speaking of, there's like one guy on YouTube, of course, completely going off topic right off the bat. There's like one guy on YouTube. Every time I see him, I see a video of his, just like the title and thumbnail and I see his logo. I'm like, man, I just can't think of anything else. This guy is called LGR. If you don't know. Welcome, Vietcong. How are you doing? This guy is called LGR, and when I think of the word soy boy, this is like the look that comes to mind, right? This guy, in my opinion, is like the quintessential, like the picture perfect soy boy. Right? I mean, compare this to like this guy. You know what makes a soy boy in a way? It's like, it's the beard. It's the kind of milky look they have in their eyes. They're like the weird childlike glimmer. The glasses. They all have like weird, similar glasses. I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy. All have like the black frames. Of course, the beard, but together with like short hair. But yeah, every time I see this guy's channel and whatnot, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the soy boy. But that was a big thing that came during the Nintendo Switch, right? This absolute rise of man-children that did no longer give a fuck. And as they showed in the trailer, you know, people are going on the bus and whatnot and playing Nintendo Switch. I've never seen that. During the time of Nintendo Switch, I went to school in to the next biggest town, so I had to go by train. I never saw somebody on the train with the Nintendo Switch. I brought it to school once or twice, right, playing in the breaks and whatnot, like over lunch. But I've never seen anybody really play with Nintendo Switch outside. For a while I was working two cities over, yes, I saw a guy that would always like read manga on the bus, on the train. I would sometimes see, people play on their phone, especially during the Pokemon Go era, but I would never see somebody with a Nintendo Switch, right? I feel like Nintendo wanted to promote it, and then these people came in, and it was like, yeah, I don't think I want to be the soy boy. I don't want people to look at me weirdly, right? There you go. But while I'm in my memes photo, I don't have too many pictures on what, right? This was a very impromptu stream, so I only picked a few things. As I mentioned about the Wii U. Alright, gentlemen, the Wii U didn't sell as well as we had hoped. We need a new console. I mean, yeah. Like, I have a Wii U. The tablet is ass. It feels like a toy. Like, you don't think that this is a premium console from an established brand like Nintendo. It feels really cheap. The screen it's like a tablet from 2013 or whatnot, or older. Like a cheap Android tablet, not even older. It's not good. I don't know what Nintendo thought that they were doing with that. Strange. That was over. It's such a strange thing they did. But you always knew, like, Nintendo always had that spark, right? You see it in the Wii U, but you also see it in the GameCube, one of my favorite consoles. They put a fucking handle on the thing, right? Nintendo always wanted to make the home console portable. That is undeniable. I mean, look at the Wii, like, not just the GameCube. The GameCube had a fucking handle, right? But the Wii was so small, you could really easily put it in your backpack. You could put it in your jacket pocket. I think that was how they revealed it. Fucking Reggie, I think, came on screen on what's it called, on stage, and pulled it out of his jacket. Let's see, can I find this video? Perchance, right? But this is always, they always had like this knack for that. So it felt very natural when I originally saw it. I was like, yeah, Nintendo, they wanted to do that from the get-go. Ever since the GameCube, ever since the original Game Boy, they always wanted to do that, and now they kind of have the resources to do it. Reveals Wii. Okay, is that a thing? No, that's not it. Let's see, is that it? Oh, these idiots, they put like a thing on top of it. Exactly where he pulls it out. Okay, I remember he had it like in his jacket pocket or whatnot, and he pulled it out, but I didn't see it here in the video. Oops. But yeah, that was the release. And before the stream, while looking at it, one thing a lot of people were like really upset about, at least from what I remember, was this. Come on, show it. 720p. Can I make it a little bit smaller, please? Here, 720p. I remember when the Switch got announced and they were like, the screen is 720p. People were losing their minds, right? They were like, oh man, 720p in 2027? Nah, let's not. How does Nintendo do this? This is so bad. Why would they do that? It's like, dude, it's like a 7-inch screen. It's the same when people complain that their phone doesn't do 4K. I'm like, you do realize that 4K really doesn't look much different to 1080p on a screen this tiny. Same with 720p. It makes the console cheaper, and you really wouldn't notice. Now with the new Switch, it's a slightly larger screen, and I think there it makes more sense. But when the Switch originally came out, that was like one of the things I really didn't understand when people complain about. I understand a lot of the things people complain about, mind you, right? I'm very, very open to that. This was one of the things where I was like, people have lost their fucking minds. What the fuck? So yeah. let's see. I think I made a screenshot of that. Let me see. That's the wrong one. Okay, I don't have a screenshot of those. I think I can do it like this to show real quick. So when the Nintendo Switch came out, one thing they apparently did. Hello? Thank you. One thing that they apparently did is they didn't include any games, right? No games? Why? Well, this is like an article I found that was like listed in the Wikipedia. Why they apparently did it. It's like they made it to keep the price at $300. I mean, when you look at the Nintendo Switch 2 now, it's very obvious they don't give a fuck about that anymore. They don't care how more expensive they made. Like, they were like, okay, we need to have it at like a certain price point, otherwise people wouldn't buy it. And if people want to buy the game, well, then let them buy it separately, right? So they can choose which game to buy. And of course they also, this reminds me, one of the games they were like releasing at the time was 1-2 Switch. This is where the trend started, the worst trend. No. With the Wii U, I think I started. Where they sell the fucking tech demo for people to figure out the console as a separate game, right? Wii Sports was huge. It was amazing, especially for a pack-in. And you got it at CD, usually, as well. And they just never replicated that. They were like, okay, you know, here you go, the demo, full price game. And you never hear really anybody play Nintendo 1-2 Switch anymore, right? But yeah, it's basically like a Reggie you're talking about. Oh yeah, that's we want to have like a price point of $300, so, and we have to include the Joy-Cons, we have to include like the dock, we have to include the cables, blah 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 blah, and we can't reach $300 without that. Which in a way makes sense, but yeah. Let's see this one. You make the comment about the Wii Sports, and certainly the Energy does great utilization of Joy-Con, shows off the capabilities of systems. That's absolutely true. But I would say though that 1-2 Switch has many more experiences. So what parallel of experience, potentially more akin to Wii Play than Wii Sports. And again, from that standpoint, Wii Play has a standalone piece of software with both the controller at the time and the without. So that's probably a better analogy. Yeah, from what I've seen from 1-2 Switch, it's a really. It's a tech. It really is a tech demo, right? I think them going like, oh yeah, the Nintendo 1-2 Switch is such a good game. We have to sell it separately. Nah. Now one of the big complaints though that I saw people do, like besides the packing games and the 720p, all the big complaints I saw were I was like, yeah, Nintendo, what the fuck are you doing? 32 gigabytes. They included 32 gigabytes of storage on a device in an age where they were like, let's go as much digital as we physically can. In the same age where games come out that are like 200 gigabytes and then they have a 150 gigabyte day one patch. What were they thinking? Of course, right, later on they were like, okay, maybe if when they released the OLED, they were like, okay, let's expand it to 64 gigabytes because that's so much more. Even at the time the Switch came out, you were able to buy like micro SD cards with like 256 gigabytes for what? $30, $40, something like that, $50 maybe even. A big manufacturer like Nintendo could have easily included that much of flash storage on this device. I mean, fuck, M.2s. You could include an M.2, which would have been even better. But nah. This was like one of these really weird decisions. Thanks for following, by the way. I just noticed it. And also one of these really weird decisions where I was like, man, what are they thinking? Right, so I don't have the clip of AVGN that I can pull up. But it's like, Nintendo still doesn't get it. They still don't. And, you know, even to this day, they still don't. At least in my opinion. they are just a weird bunch over there. It's like when I go to my grandma or even just to my mom even, and then I have to explain them how a computer works. Like my mom is like, oh, how does this work? And I'm like, there, look, read. It's like a 3-step thing you need to read that tells you how to do X, Y, Z. It's like, oh, I don't get it. You have to do it for me. You have to explain it to me. I don't understand the internet, even though I use it every day. Right? That's like Nintendo. They're like a grandparent. They're like, what's a computer? What? You can print files with this? You can do banking on that? What? You can watch. You can call people with video even. Wow, right? That's Nintendo. They just now added a camera to the system for whatever fucking reason, right? I saw like a video and somebody made like a good point. The camera came out. They will use it and promote it for like maybe a year. There will be like one or two games that kind of makes use of that maybe. And soon enough, you will have some guy who exposes themselves to a bunch of children through Nintendo's own service, and then they will promptly kind of shove it to the side. One controversy, one like, oh yeah, we will implement stricter blah 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 blah, and then it's like forgotten. No camera, nothing, right? They just don't get it. They just don't get it. And what? Yeah, and something they also didn't get is, well, something they did get actually. Let me say it like that. Is lawsuits. Whoo, Nintendo got some lawsuits, because why wouldn't they? Now, one of the ones I didn't hear about this at all. I just, in preparation for this, I read through it a little bit and I was like, man, holy shit, that sounds really annoying. I can get how Nintendo really didn't like this one, or how this really could have fucked up with Nintendo. There's a company called GameVice, I think. Yeah, GameVice. And they filed a lawsuit against Nintendo for like the design of the Switch where you can remove the controller. So it's like, yeah, we have a patent on that, of like having a game device with a removable controller. And I think to myself, well, for the longest time you had these clip-ons for controllers. You had the controllers that you can like put to the side. This is nothing new. How can you have a patent on something stupid like that? But Sky owns the copyright to the word sky, right? And copyright and patents and everything, it's a joke, right? And Nintendo had to fight against these guys multiple times. They were like, okay, they set it up, and then they were like, they lost, and then they started again. They were like, actually, let's try again, and they lost again, right? Nintendo won that one. I'm glad about that. Because they were like, not only just, right, we want some money, some compensation. They were like, okay, let's ban the sale. It's in the first paragraph there, at the end. The lawsuit sought damages on existing Switch sales and banning further sales of the console. Could you fucking imagine how, like, this company would have been assassinated by this guy, right? My wife's boyfriend bought me a Nintendo Switch, and my playmates also want a Nintendo Switch. I'm going to riot. I'm gonna chuck 2 bottles of Soylent, and then I'm going to assassinate the president of GameWise. I mean, look at their console. That's the thing that actually they sued over, by the way. That's the thing. That's like, oh yeah, we have the patent. We want to prevent the Switch to sell about. Like, yeah, in this alternative timeline, that's what you would have seen. There we go. Like, that's... can I make it a little bit... Yeah. That's like the alternative timeline. Could you imagine some shitty Android tablet with this huge, bulky controller? Now, if you don't realize it, the tablet is the thing in the middle. And the controller is this U-shaped thing. Somebody rang on my door. Let me check if somebody's there. I turned on the microphone and I heard some children giggling. So it probably was a prank, which I get a lot. It's kind of annoying. I really wish people would stop that. But yeah, you know, that's an alternative future with this U-shaped controller. That's your, I think what's called like the Game-Wise Wikipad or something like that. Sort of well, bullshit. It's like, yeah. I'm glad Nintendo didn't lose that one. You know, for multiple reasons, but I wish Nintendo would have seen at that point as well, hey, maybe this whole patent and copyright bullshit we constantly also lean over other people is maybe not the best thing. But no, they didn't learn anything from that lawsuit either, so in a way I also wish they would have lost. But of course the bigger one, you might remember that. Driftgate. The Nintendo stick Joy-Cons and Nintendo Joy-Con sticks are drifting because they maybe use cheap components or whatnot, and they were involved in a class action lawsuit where at the end they came out and repaired everything for free. Which, let's be honest, that's the thing they must do. If they would have said, no, you're not repairing that, fuck you, I think people would have been very mad at them. That's something Nintendo couldn't have afforded. Especially after the failure of the Wii U, you know, they were like... But of course that was like a big thing. My Switch, I have a launch Switch, by the way. I have a Switch Lite, just recently acquired, and I have a Switch OLED. None of them have drift issues. I mean, to be fair, I replaced the sticks on my Switch Lite because, I don't know, the person I bought them from tried to kind of like chew them off. At least that's the way they looked like. But yeah, even my launch Switch didn't have drift issues, so I either was very lucky, or people really over-exaggerated how much it happens. Maybe they just didn't realize what drift actually is, but yeah, you know. But that was a big thing. And I feel like this was almost the correct thing to do, right? Let me say, what do you mean almost the correct thing to do? The thing is, Nintendo got for that one, for drifting sticks, and I think that probably was also an issue on, you know, all the consoles, other consoles, you know. And it's insane that they never got involved in that. But I have older controllers of older consoles, and I feel like, hey, we should do another one, but for these companies. My PS3 controllers feels like you dipped it into like a bucket of honey. It's disgusting. My PS2 controllers all as well. The rubber Sony used up to the PS3 on the sticks was, it's disgusting. It kind of disintegrates. And some of the Nintendo controllers as well. The Xbox ones, they use really almost like cheap rubber, or like, yeah, it's like cheap rubber or like soft rubber that just rubs off really, really quickly. Both my Xbox and my 360 have just completely shaved down sticks. My 360 I had to replace at some point with cheaper ones, of course, with aftermarket. They're not as good, but you know, what do you want to do about that? And that was like the two big lawsuits Nintendo faced in this era, right? That were directed at them. Of course, there was also like a team executor, and one of the guys they got, and they fucked him over so hard. They want to make an example out of him, and it's always fun how these big companies that show themselves as, you know, we are the family-friendly console, the family-friendly company like Disney or whatnot. We care about the children, and we want to make toys for the children, and if your daddy is a bit on a naughty side, though, we will ruin your life. Right? That's Nintendo and Disney and all of these companies. But that was like the general, that was like the release of the Nintendo Switch. Like some, a bit post-release, right? Some controversies, some good, mostly. Some were like nothing burgers, of course. Some bad. Now, originally, what a lot of people were speculating when it came out was that the dock You know, at the time, something that started to get really popular was external GPUs that would connect via USB-C. And people were like, oh man, Nintendo, they fucking got it. In the dock, there will be additional processing power. Of course, that wasn't the case. It was just, okay, it's connected. We can put a little bit more power into it. So it has a little bit more power because overclocking a little, right? And they did the same fucking thing with the Nintendo Switch too. I feel like they should have taken that as like, oh yeah, right, people want that, and kind of made that a thing for the Nintendo Switch too. Maybe they do. Maybe we will see like a GPU dock in the near future, like 2-3 years. Instead of a full upgrade, it's like, okay, we take the full processing power for CPU stuff, and the GPU comes externally through a new dock that we sell for like $100-200. Who knows? I would be surprised. Yeah, I'm gonna let myself be surprised, right? Maybe we'll see something like that. But I remember just initially during the launch window, there was a lot of people who really thought, hell yeah, that is what they are doing. The dock has additional processing power, and yeah. Of course, one of the last, kind of things, I will pull this picture up later again as well for something else. One thing they kind of, two things actually, just remembered the other one. Two things, people were like really mad about the game cartridges, right? They're like, oh man, Nintendo has to do the proprietary thing. Proprietary like thing again. We're just like, these are just like micro SD cards and they're expensive to make, and I get that, but the only thing I never got is like these cards, they don't go too high. I think I think they topped out at 32 gigabytes. Yeah, they went from 1 to 32 gigabytes, which is kind of insane. And once again, they didn't learn about that. Like, they didn't learn 128 gigabytes isn't fucking expensive. And the Switch 2 also uses just cards that go up to 64 gigabyte. Like, it's not that expensive. Why are they doing this? It just doesn't make any sense. But I remember that being also like a bit of controversy at the time. And of course the other thing is, now let me put the picture back up. This label, right? One of the big thing at the time was people were licking the shit out of their games because they put like a thing on there so that children wouldn't put it in their mouth so they'd swallow it. Something that makes it bitter. And I remember people discovered that, and that was like the big thing. Like, hey, take your Switch game and lick it. Lick the shit out of it like it's a clitoris, basically. I tried it, of course, myself. Because, why wouldn't I? But it was a bit stupid. it was a bit of a stupid thing that happened at the time. We really were bored, I think. We really were bored. But you know what wasn't boring? 2017, right? I personally would say 2017 was one of the greatest years in gaming we had for a while now, right? Even today, if I think back, 2017 really stands out to me. Because of course the Nintendo Switch dropped, but also some great games, some important games maybe as well. And I picked a few to just mention, right? That I want to kind of show off. Of course, first we stay a little bit with Nintendo. These are very small images, but I didn't want to go and find like a million high resolution ones and spend even more time wasting finding them. Breath of the Wild. That was a big one. They wanted to make this a Wii U game, but they took forever, and then they were like, let's as well put it on the Nintendo Switch. Funny enough, when it came out, people were like, okay, it's super fucking weird Breath of the Wild, to some degree, runs better on the Wii U than it does on the Switch. Nintendo, what are you doing? Because the Switch uses like a Android tablet CPU from like 2014 or something like that, if you don't know. It's not very high-grade hardware. But it's impressive what they still made with that system, let's be honest here. But yeah, Breath of the Wild came out in 2017. What also came out in 2017, just like every game I will mention right now, Mario Odyssey. I played through the entire thing, I collected all the moons. It was a good game. Honestly, Nintendo really hit it out of the park with their main series. Especially during the lifetime, but so close to each other, two amazing games like that. I think Nintendo was really cooking. Right now, of course, at the beginning they re-released Mario Kart 8. But that was a re-release. Like I didn't like I left out a lot of the re-releases and such and remakes when I went through the releases in 2017, and I just picked a few that are more interesting to me. But man, Nintendo, they really hit it out of the park with this. And another game that also ended up on Nintendo consoles that released in 2017. It's a little known indie game. Come on, can I please take the picture? Thank you. Which was Hollow Knight. If you've played Hollow Knight, you know how good of a game this is. I think I spent like 30 or 40 hours in that game. Especially for the price and, you know, and everything, and how much hype there's behind the sequel, Silksong. Yeah. This is insane, right? I think this is one of the most beloved games that exists right now. Every Direct, every E3, every like state of play, every what does the Xbox do? I don't even know what Xbox does anymore. I don't care about Microsoft and their bullshit. But everything, every time they were like, "Oh, where's Silksong? Where's Silksong? Where's Silksong?" Because Hollow Knight really got a big fan base. Because my God, was it a good game? Of course, but you know, good games always have bad fan bases. Let's be honest here, most of the time. Speaking of good games with bad fan bases, Doki Doki Literature Club, a surprise hit, a surprise free game. I have that on the Nintendo Switch as well, but I haven't played it yet. But I was like, you know, I might as well buy it because it was free and it was fun. That also came out in 2017. Which, just thinking back, I'm like, holy shit. And of course, I didn't play all of them in 2017. Maybe that I will pull up, but it's like, man. You have 4 games alone that are really vivid in my memories already. Quite insane, but there are way more, of course, you know. As an example, there's also Gravity Rush 2 that came in 2017. What? This is an amazing game. An amazing sequel to an amazing first game. And Sony killed it. That's a Sony game, by the way. Before anybody complains about that. Also came out in 2017. You know what also came out in 2017? Because we're talking about 2017, Resident Evil 7. Basically the reboot of the franchise. That was really successful. Yeah. Can you fucking believe it? Then Persona 5 also came out in 2017. In the West, that is. It came out in 2016 in Japan, but worldwide we got it in 2017. My God. But we also got another game which was amazing. One of my favorite games of all time, I would say. If I would do a top 10 right now of all my games, I'm very likely to put Nier Automata in my top 10. Which, you know, I will do that stream in the future, but just right now, out of the top of my head, I would put Nier Automata in my top 10 easily. Easily. All of these, 2017. And there's one more game. Now you could guess which game came out in 2017 that overshadows all of these. Well, it's not a game I really ever played. It's not a game I like. But you know what also came out in 2017? Fortnite. Arguably one of the biggest games to ever exist. Its impact can still be felt today. I mean, it still exists, of course, the game, and it continuously gets updated. But man, all of this was 2017. A lot has changed since then, but looking back, my god. What a year. What a year, really. It's really something else, in my opinion. How insane of a year that was. Of course, some of these games, you can like them, you can dislike them, right? I've never played Resident Evil, but I played the rest of those. And I like all of these, right? Some more, some less, some I'm like more impartial towards, right? I'm like, oh yeah, Nier Automata is fucking great. Like Stellar Blade recently came out, which a lot of people compare to Nier Automata. I haven't bought it yet because of the huge price hike with regional pricing, but I really wonder if it can live up to Nier Automata. And I really wonder if we will have another 2017. Right now, I can't really see it. So many games release every year. But I just don't feel like they're the same. It never feels like, oh man, this is like a tremendous game. Maybe 1 or 2, but not like 10, 20. There's also like Horizon Zero Dawn, I think, also one that people really liked, and a bunch of others. So really, that was an insane year. Of course, we're gonna stay with the games, because let's talk about my top 5 Nintendo Switch games. Now, before I get into my top 5, I will name 2 honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Torn of the Golden Country. I played this game way after the fact, right? I bought it like used. I buy most of my Switch games used these days because the Switch tax is real. They never go on sale. And even used, they're still like 30, 40 bucks at all time. It's quite insane. Currently, prices are dropping a little bit, so I'm keeping my eye on the storefronts, on like used game storefronts, to see if I can snag some good deals. But usually Nintendo's tax stays strong. Like even the Wii U, even the Nintendo 3DS, even like all older consoles, they all are still fucking expensive, which is insane to me. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torn of the Golden Country, is an amazing DLC. It's a DLC. Which, I have to say, I hate DLCs. I hate DLCs with a passion. I remember, like, the first time I played, like, a DLC, and I was like, you know, this is kind of worthwhile, was, like, the Borderlands DLCs. They were always fun, right? They added stuff that really enhanced the game, that added more to the game in a fun way. But today, I just think, man, all the DLC sucks. I don't want to buy your fucking stupid Ultimate Deluxe Premium Edition where the DLCs are already included or the Season Passes are already included. Because most DLCs, they're just cosmetics or, you know, XP boosters or really shitty stuff that should have been in the main game to begin with. Like, oh yeah, we have a side story for a character that nobody cares about. Here's the DLC. But Torn of the Golden Country really, man, it really is like a standalone game. It's so good. It tells a really nice story as well. It's like a short experience because it is a DLC. But yeah, if it wasn't a DLC, I would put it in my top 10 easily. The other one is Umihara Kawase Fresh. Now, I don't know how often I talked about Umihara Kawase on this channel, if at all. I know I haven't played it ever since, you know, using my current model. It's my favorite series. It really is my favorite series of all time. I love the Umiharu Kawase game. I love Umiharu Kawase. I love Umiharu Kawase Shun. I love Umiharu Kawase. Sayonara Umiharu Kawase is what it was called. I love these games. They are my favorite games of all time. Even above something like Dark Souls. They are amazing. And I feel like the Switch was the perfect platform. The perfect platform to release the original 3 games and make a sequel. Quote unquote sequel. They don't really have story. And when they announced Fresh, I was like, holy shit, I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. You know, I pulled one of these. Mouth agape. Umiharu Kawase, what? No way! My cats got scared by that. I was really, really excited, and then I played it, and they just did something weird with it. It's not that good. I haven't played it ever since it originally came out, and since I played through it, it's not the best entry. But I'm really surprised they never released the other games. They are Nintendo Switch. They are SNES, PS1, and 3DS/PS Vita games. They should run on the Switch. Why don't they port them? But yeah, it's an honorable mention because it's a title I didn't expect to be released of my favorite series. But it just wasn't good. It didn't live up. It just didn't live up, which is why I can't put it in my top 5. Now, getting to the top 5. Number 5, Super Mario Odyssey. Man, I remember when I played this game, it was fantastic. I think the movement tech in this game, wow, holy shit. They really hit it out of the park. Like, Nintendo knows what they're doing when they want to. They really do. It's just a shame that they never really use their heads too much, right? Once in a while, will make a game like this, and then they will stop for a couple of years, right? This came out in 2017. I would have expected them to make another 3D Mario in that time. They never did. But yeah, Mario Odyssey is my number 5. Let's put it in the corner. Then on number 4 is a very interesting game, Astral Chain. When that game, the trailer dropped, I was like, man, this looks really interesting. And then I played it, and it had like a nice stylization. The story was, it was alright. It was what it was. The gameplay was really fun. And then it was forgotten. I don't hear too many people talk about Astral Chain anymore. I think when people really look back onto the Switch, they usually talk about the Zeldas, they talk about the Metroids, about the Marios, about the Xenoblades, about the Animal Crossings. I mean, holy shit, did you remember that craze during the pandemic, whatnot? Yeah, but Astral Chain, a really, really cool game. I hope they make like a sequel, or like at least make a patch for the Switch, free, please, for the Switch too. I mean, because the graphic was very. Yeah. And of course the frame rate also wasn't perfectly serviceable, but it was still fun. So number 4, my number 4 is Astral Chain. Number 2, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I adored this game. Man, like, a lot of people complained. He had a lot of the fucking normie tourists that came in and were like, why does the lady have big tits? I don't like ladies have big tits. That's why the game is bad. And it runs bad, and it looks bad, and it's like... I played it, and I really loved it. It was a lovely game. Of course, it had some issues, which, let's be honest here, They really existed. The resolution was really ass. The frame rate at times was abysmal. And some of the graphics looked really bad. But when I ended it, when I was done with the game, when you know, at the final sequence, when after, you know, the game ended, I was like, man, there are rarely games that stun me where I'm like, where like the game is finished and I just sit there, I'm like, wow, I'm just speechless, right? I'm like, man, this was amazing. And Xenoblade 2 was Chronicles 2 was one of these games. I really, really, really like this game. And some of the soundtrack of it is also really good. I should listen to it again. There's like Elysium in the Sky. Just remembering about it makes me a little bit emotional, almost, you could say. But then we have number 2. Metroid Dread. Man. Even though Nintendo never made really any Metroid games again, they made like the remake of the second Metroid that was on Game Boy, but that doesn't really count too much. And they hit it out of the park. Metroid Dread plays like a dream. It is quite hard as well, right? Which surprising, usually for Nintendo games to be hard. But I remember really being stuck at the final boss. Amazing game, really. It is one of these games that I'm really considering just playing again. Maybe even on stream, probably not. But if I, you know, had like a week of, hey, you just play one game or whatnot, I think Metroid Dread would be one of those that I would pick out and just go through it. Yeah. Like, you don't see too many AAA 2D games coming out. But Nintendo just hit it out of the park with this one. And of course, my number 1, I mean, this is a very just, I did it before the stream, so it could be a little bit off or whatnot. Right, don't criticize me too much of being, of having bad choices. Maybe, you know, if I would really go through it in my head, really think about it, the list would look different. But this is like very... And if I play some of the games I haven't played yet, who knows, right? This list is subject to change. But number 1 was Breath of the Wild. Man, this game really resonated with me. I put like 50 hours into it until I was done with it. 50, 60 hours, something like that. In like 1 week. Which I almost never do. It was one of, like, there were things to criticize about it, like with any game, of course. But when I was done with this game as well, I was like, man, this was amazing. Nintendo really, really cooked with this one. And I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet. I also haven't bought it yet. I will get to that in a second, though. But the building mechanic kind of turns me off a little. I don't know. From what I've seen, it doesn't look too fun. At least for me, it's a weird mechanic. But yeah, this is like my rough top 5 of the Nintendo Switch. Number 5, Odyssey. Number 4, Astral Chain. Number 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Number 3 is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Metroid Dread on second place, and first place, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Then we get to another short list of games, which are the games that I still want to buy/play. You know, already mentioned it. Tears of the Kingdom. I'm just waiting to find like a good price. The cheapest I saw was like $35. I'm waiting for 30, potentially 25. Who knows? Probably not. But I want to see what the hype is about. People are like, oh man, this is even better than Breath of the Wild, so it could be good. It could be good. Now, I'm also a big JRPG fan. Even though I don't play them too much on stream because they're just long and have a lot of dialogue, which I don't like streaming that. But this one I already have, I just need to play it, is Shin Megami Tensei 5. I heard really good things about it. I haven't played any of the Shin Megami Tensei games besides Strange Journey, which is an amazing game. I hope they remake that one on the Switch as well at some point. But yeah, other than that, I only have played the Persona games, and I heard good things about 5, so I'm really looking forward to that one once I get around to it. Which, of course, right, you need to get around to it. It's just, I don't have time. I don't know where to find the time, at least. Speaking of more things that take a lot of time, Bravely Default. Man, I really loved Bravely Default and Bravely Second. I already have Bravely Default 2 here in my shelf. But I still haven't played it. I don't know when or where. It's always like it is a handheld console, so it makes it a little bit easier. But still, it's like, man, especially nowadays, I stream. I have some other projects I'm working on constantly. I don't have too much time to do gaming on my own or watch anime anymore. There's still more stuff I want to do, and I might have to cut back on some stuff, or just hope that I find a way to gain some more time. Maybe because YouTube pays off at some point, or maybe because I don't know, I stumble upon a gold coin that's worth $1 million. I don't know. I just wish I had more time to play some of these amazing games. And to stay with the JRPGs, because Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I liked 1 and 2. I heard 3 is a bit censored, so I'm looking forward to that one. But I still heard it's pretty good. It's a pretty good send-off to the Chronicles kind of games of the Xenoblades. I heard it was a kind of like the finale to it. I didn't spoil myself too much. I heard some spoilers though, so yeah. I fuck up most of them though, so that's good. But yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I just so many games. Of course, I didn't list all of them right now, because then I would be here tomorrow. And there are some that I probably don't know or didn't think about. There's one final image. I'm going to do that one at the end. This is a relatively new one. I always wanted to play it. I always wanted to play this one, but I never got around to it. Super Mario RPG. I heard it's good. It looks really fun, but once again, it's one of these 20, 30, 40, 50 hour behemoths, right? But this one is a bit... I'm a bit on the fence in regards to that one, but still. Then, this comes in a double pack, I would say, is the Fire Emblem games. Man, I really enjoyed Fire Emblem Fates and Valencia, like the 2 3DS ones. Of course, there's also Awakening, but I haven't played that one. That one's just expensive. I just can't find it anywhere for a good price, so I haven't bought it yet. But yeah, I still want to play the Fire Emblem games, but once again, it's like... There's like a huge thing with all of these games. All of them are really long games. The short ones, I'm just like, oh yeah, pop them in, play them over a weekend or whatnot, and you're done. These are like, pop them in, I will probably sit at them for like 2 months. Depending on how much time I currently have. And one I recently bought just because the price was really good on it was Unicorn Overlord. I just heard a good thing about it. A lot of people say, oh yeah, this is a really good one, play it. So I bought it and still waiting to get around to playing it. But these are like 8 games that I still want to buy and still want to play. And maybe I will buy a Switch too, and I hope that some of these will run really good on those consoles. But speaking of running really good on those consoles and games I still want to buy and play, the Atelier franchise. Yeah. They didn't release all of the games physically, of course. But I have a Ryza 1 on PC. But I have like the 2 packs of the Dusk Trilogy and the Mysterious Trilogy. I have those on the Switch in physical form. And they run kind of badly, but they're still really fun. I really enjoyed Aisha, even if the time limit was a bit ass on that one. I really enjoyed Eska and Logi. Even though I kind of broke it early on with, there's like a way to get an item, and when you get that item, you can duplicate it over and over and over again with a mechanic of the game. And then you have infinite money, which made it a little bit easier, but it was still fun. It was still a good game. I really enjoyed some of the OST as well. And next up is Shally, I think it's called. This one. So I'm really looking forward to those. And then I might probably transition to playing Ryza and then the mysterious ones. And then, just pendling back and forth between the ones that people like. But that's a big series, right? All of these games are like 20, 30 hour experiences. And there are a lot of Atelier games, and I want to play most of them, if not all of them. And the Switch is, despite the performance, is still a good console to play them on. So I hope there are quite a few of them physically on Switch. And this brings me to the last segment, you could say. I don't have too many images prepared for that one, if at all, actually. Yeah, I don't have any. So let me put myself in the middle, though. Oops, that was the wrong one. Can I grab myself, please? Thank you. OBS is behaving a bit weirdly. Let's do it like this so I can cover myself. The Switch 2 and the future. That's like the last topic I have here. Now, first of all, the Switch sold, like the Switch 2, sold gangbusters. I think like 3 million units in the first week. It's insane. After all the bullshit they pulled, they still sell millions of units. Their best sales start from the get-go. It's kind of sad, because there's a lot of things here I want to complain about. But the Switch 2. One of the big things is the game upgrades. I am not a fan of that. Yes, I'm a fan that the games can get upgraded. I'm not a fan that you have to pay for that. I'm really not. On PC, if my PC is weak and I cannot play a game because it's weak and I have to put it into lower settings, if I then get a stronger PC, I can put it into higher settings without having to pay for these higher settings. Right? That's like exclusively one of these super weird Nintendo Switch things. Nintendo things. It's like, oh yeah, how do we nickel and dime our beloved people? Well, let's just charge for upgrades. Oh, we import the same textures that we just have sitting around on our hard drives, right? Especially with non-Nintendo games. If a non-Nintendo game does this, especially some of the third parties, like okay, we sell it on the PS4. As an example, so we have the high-res textures. It costs us literally nothing to just offer this to people for free. I think a lot of companies will still charge, and I'm not looking forward to that. And something I'm also looking forward to is, you might have heard about it, Nintendo has the game keycards. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's worse than code in a box. It's literally more plastic for not owning a game. It's horrible. And it gets me to believe that by the Nintendo Switch Free, if there ever will be a Nintendo Switch Free, that they will just make subscription games. Oh, you want to play the newest Mario? Oh, you want to play the newest Zelda? Oh, you want to play the newest... Well, that will be $10 a month. Can I just outright buy it so I can play it whenever I want? No, $10 a month, or you don't get to play it. What if I don't, pay for it for a month? Well, you can pay it and we will delete your save. Oh. What if I want to play it like in 10 years? Well, you will not be playing it in 10 years. Let's just say that. It's like the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo at one point had for the NES, SNES, I think it was, this like thing where you could tune into a TV station and you got like special version of games. These are lost to time, a lot of them. that's gonna be the same thing. I have it in my urine right now. Nintendo will at some point implement something like this, something completely rotten, like only selling you a game via subscription. I can see that already happening with the game key cards. It's like the first array into that, right? The upgrades, the key cards, this is just the beginning. This is really just the beginning. Now, I noted down here the big divide. I don't remember what I thought about when I wrote that. I should have expanded on that for myself. But I think a lot of people will not necessarily buy a Nintendo Switch in the long run. Right? I feel like Nintendo Switch, the Switch 2 has a lot of sales right now. Which, it's disappointing to me, in a way. But I will be interested to see how it looks like in a year or in 2 years. Is this really just people right now being like, okay, I might as well get a Switch 2. It's an upgrade. I can play my Switch 1 games. But will this last? Because I can see this being the kind of thing where they sell 3 million units now. They sell maybe like another 50 million units over the next 3 years. But then it might like sharply drop off. I can see that happening. But I do also have some hopes, which some of them are unfounded. Some of them we've already seen that's not going to be the case, with the game keycards being a thing especially. But I have hopes. One hope is that Switch 1 games, I feel like Nintendo should allow and should make an upgrade to the Switch 2, that you can play Switch 1 games in their docked version on the Switch 2 handheld mode. I feel like that's a thing that will be coming. Because it's an insane thought that this wouldn't exist, right? If Nintendo can think of game keycards, of these upgrade packs, I'm pretty sure they can think that people would want that. And I can see them implementing that. Of course, another big one is censorship. The tides are turning in a way. I mean, have you seen how Pride Month performs this month? That's an embarrassment. Have you seen how some games with fan service come back? Think Stellar Blade, of course, still censored to some degree. But these games, people start to come back into that state, and the remake of Bravely Default, at least in Japan, is uncensored. So I have a big hope that Nintendo kind of eases up on the censorship again, because at the beginning of the Switch, they actually were like, hey, we allow fucking Doom and adult games now. But then a lot of them still got censored again. Especially when it comes to like fan service stuff. I just hope that Nintendo Switch 2 will not have that problem. At least from what I've seen so far, it's looking better. And this one is a bit more hopeful. And we've already seen it with the game keycards, especially that third parties, they go like, well, we will release our 300 gigabyte game just digitally because we cannot put them onto a 64 gigabyte card. My hope with that, though, is that maybe we can get back to a time where we optimize our games, where we don't just take a 4K texture for everything and slap that into a game, and just uncompressed it's in there. Here you go, 200 gigabytes on launch day, and then 150 gigabytes day one patch. On a console that outputs 1080p or even 4K. A lot of these textures, they are just crunched down or use parts of it. You don't need these textures in like 4K or 8K. I think I've also seen some to have it in 16K. It's not necessary. I feel like my big hope is that studios go and be like, yeah, let's not be idiots. We have this underpowered hardware and we only have 64 gigabytes to work with. Let's get back to our roots and actually optimize our games. Of course, that's a hope, and Will it actually happen? Probably not. What actually will happen, most likely, is that people will start bending over and scream, "Oh yes, Daddy Nintendo, fuck me in the ass, woo!" Right? Fucking no physical games, only subscriptions, the price sky high, $100 games, $200 games, $300 games. Who cares? That will be the future, right? We can also say it like that. Maybe those are like the two divides. A hopeful future and the more probably ones where Nintendo Switch just bends you over, even if they have to force you. But yeah, that was my my slightly unprepared stream about the Switch 2. Yeah, about Nintendo Switch. I hope you liked it. I really enjoyed that console. I just wished that it wouldn't have ended the way it did at the end. And with that, I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave you with a little song. So, goodbye. It's gonna start soon, don't worry.
I believe the morning sun always gonna shine again, and I believe a pot of gold waits at every rainbow's end. Oh, I believe in roses kissed with dew. Why shouldn't I believe the same in you? I believe in make-believe, fairy tales and lucky charms, and I believe in promises spoken as you cross your heart. Oh, I believe in skies forever blue. Why shouldn't I believe the same in you? You may say I'm a fool, feeling the way that I do. You can call me Pollyanna, say I'm crazy as a loon. I believe in silver linings, that's why I believe in you. I believe there'll come a day, maybe it'll be tomorrow, when the bluebird flies away. All we have to do is follow. I believe a dream can still come true. Still, that's why I believe in you. You may say I'm a fool, feeling the way that I do. I believe in friends and laughter and the wonders love can do. I believe in songs and magic, and that's why I believe in you.
And I also believe in all of you for joining me on next Friday with Drakengard. Goodbye, thanks for watching. Have a nice evening, good day, good afternoon, wherever you are. Ciao.